Welcome to UMBC's Mic'd Up podcast. My name is Dennise Cardona from the Office of Professional Programs at UMBC. Today, we are going to be talking with a current student in our College Teaching and Learning Science Graduate Certificate Program. Her name is Samantha Berg. I hope you enjoy this episode. Hey, welcome to the podcast. It's wonderful to have you here, Samantha, on UMBC's Mic'd Up podcast.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me.
So I understand you are currently in the graduate program, the certificate program for College Teaching and Learning Science at UMBC. How is that going for you so far?
It's going really great. Really appreciate the coursework and the faculty commitment to it. And I'm really enjoying learning about teaching.
Absolutely. So just to give us a little background, could you let us know what the path was that led you here to the program at UMBC?
Sure. I am a current PhD student in UMBC's Human Services Psychology program. And I learned about this teaching certificate program through one of the faculty members in my department. And it sounded like something that would be really interesting because I have been a graduate teaching assistant before this, and undergraduate teaching assistant as well. So it seemed like something that would be really interesting for me because I really enjoyed those positions I had. So I wanted to learn more, and it's sort of just one thing led to another. And then I started taking the certificate program.
How is that being a PhD student candidate as well as in a certificate program? How do you balance that all out?
I think it works well because I feel like the certificate program, it's really great in that it balances well with schedules. So in my certificate course, some of my classmates are working professionals, some are other students as well, and they tend to be really good about the learning schedule. There's usually asynchronous learning options, so I didn't find it hard to balance at all. The PhD part is a lot of work, that's for sure. And I don't want to take away from the fact that we have assignments in our teaching certificate program, but it was nice that it was structured in a way that I could do it when it worked for me during the week.
Absolutely. So you're in the PhD program, you're in the certificate program. What does your ideal future look like when it comes to the career path that both of these things will lead you to?
I think I'm still figuring out my ideal career path, but I know that I'd like to have teaching be part of it. So my PhD is in human services psychology, and it's focusing on clinical psychology. So even if I end up working as a clinician, I'd still like to teach in an adjunct faculty position of some kind. Maybe I do more of a full teaching position and do clinical work on the side or something like that. But I know that I just really enjoy working with learners. I enjoy designing lectures, and I enjoyed the aspect of teaching. So I know I want that to be part of my life in some capacity.
It's interesting because you and I both share similar interests when it comes to learning and teaching. I just graduated with my master's in learning and performance technology at UMBC. And I went into that program just taking one course at a time, thinking, I'll do a certificate program at first. And then I just loved it. I loved learning about learning theories and just the application of learning and how to design curriculum. It's amazing when you think about the future and your potential when it comes to helping learners get to that mastery that they need in order to be successful out there in the world. And I don't know about you, but I felt like that was probably my biggest pull towards that industry, is just knowing that, I can help bring them to that mastery by learning the science behind instruction, because there is a science behind it. Sure, some of it's an art, but I think for the majority, there is a science behind it. There's a way to develop curriculum that helps bring learners to that engagement that we all strive to do, that we all strive to meet as instructors and even as students, right? We want to be able to be engaged when we're taking these classes. And I've had both. I've had both experiences. And so it's really great to be able to learn how to design that. So far in the program, the certificate program, what have you learned so far? Have there been any light bulb moments for you in the classroom learning about how to design curriculum in an adult learning environment?
I think maybe, I guess not necessarily a light bulb moment, but there was a section of a course that I was taking where it was different techniques for teaching, like different learning activities for different group sizes. And I had known about a couple of them, but this grouping of suggestions for learning activities, there must have been over 15 or 20 completely different activities. And I think I was just struck for a second at that you can really get creative as a teaching professional. You can really get creative as someone who's trying to engage. And there's not a lot of activities that people would so call up to their minds, like people would just know how to do. But once you learn how to do them and once you see how to do them, they stick with you. I think that was a big thing, realizing that there's not just one way to teach. And I had known a little bit, you don't have to do, for example, just PowerPoint slides. You could do discussions, but there's way more than that. There's significantly more than that as well.
Absolutely.
So
yeah, like role playing. And
there's role playing.
It's a lot of fun. I don't know if you've experimented with AI yet when it comes to course curriculum. Have you towed into learning how to use AI to brainstorm different activities for learning, for being able to apply learning in the classroom?
I haven't yet, but I could definitely see the application.
Yeah, it's fun. So I was currently designing some learning for this fall semester I teach, and I went into AI, ChatGPT, and I just played around with some ideas, and you have to tweak it. It's not something that you can just take verbatim and go run with. I think that you want that human element, and you want to be able to really think about your learners and your learning audience. But it really does help. It's almost like an assistant, a creative assistant, to be able to bounce ideas off of and say, no, I don't like this. Tweak it this way. And it's really fascinating. And I'm really interested to see where AI and technology takes curriculum development and all of that, just learning science. I'm really curious where the future is and what that looks like. Yeah.
I think it'll change the way that everything is done.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So enrolling in the graduate program, what were your expectations? What were the expectations from the program, and have they been met so far with what you've taken?
I think overall, I expected to learn more about the theory of teaching, to learn about pedagogy, to learn about not only how to be a good instructor, but how to design curriculum and how to do the basic components that aren't so intuitive as people would think. And I think it's been meeting my expectations so far. I think that is to a T what the program does, and it does very well, is teach you how to be the most effective teaching professional and how to best engage adult learners. But even at the level of how to design your course syllabus so that it's done, and how to design your course curriculum so that it makes sense, and what are learning objectives. And I think I really appreciated that. It went beyond just how to teach and into how to design a course, which I found to be very helpful.
That's really powerful. Yeah, absolutely. That sounds like really great takeaways to be able to go out there and apply that right away with what you're doing. Mm-hmm. In terms of the peers in your program, is there much collaboration? Are you working on projects together? And what does that look like?
Yeah, so in each of the courses that I've taken so far, there's been opportunities to provide feedback to classmates on various insights, things like discussion posts, and even some virtual real-time discussion in some cases. And I found that my classmates and I were able to share our unique perspectives that inform the material we were learning. So in at least the courses that I've taken so far, none of my classmates and I had the same background and the same position. So it was really interesting to see what everybody was talking about, what we were all discussing, and what our perspective was, and then to give feedback on that and learn from that. For example, I'm still currently a student. There were people who are working professionals. There are people who are students and working professionals, and at different levels throughout as well, like different levels of being a student, different level of being a working professional. I found that really helpful to be able to learn about the course through the lens of different folks.
Absolutely. There's a lot of power in that. Absolutely. What about the faculty? How are the faculty contributing to your learning process and your learning journey?
Yeah, I would definitely say the faculty really practice what they teach. So in the courses that I've taken so far, I've been able to learn about effective methods to teach college learners while taking part in these methods as a student. And I really appreciate that. The faculty in the program seem very dedicated to teaching and committed to answering any questions students have. And each of the courses that I've taken with different faculty, every one of the faculty has made it very clear they're there to answer questions. They're there as support. They're there to teach. They're there to help us learn. I always felt supported. I suppose in my first course that I took, and to name somebody in particular, Dr. Susan Bureau taught my first class in the program, and I really appreciated her specific feedback on submissions and the time she allowed for meetings to discuss course content.
Absolutely. Among the courses that you've taken so far, has there been a favorite?
I think actually I don't have a favorite course, and I thought about it, but I don't think I do, because I feel like the material, it really builds on itself. And to say one is my favorite, I would be like, let's also including everything from all these other courses. I will say I have enjoyed the material in each of the courses I've taken.
That's a great answer. And you're right. It's all about scaffolding and everything builds on each other. And I understand that. That's a great way to learn, though, right? Is scaffolding is starting with a great foundation, having a great base, and then building those skills from there. And
definitely.
Yeah, absolutely. So is there any additional information that you want to share maybe with a prospective student, somebody listening in on this podcast or viewing this on YouTube who might be really interested in learning about college teaching and learning science and how they can become learning professionals out there? What if they're on the fence about, do I really need this certificate program? What would you say to them?
I would say go for it if you've been thinking about it. I found it to be not only interesting, but it's something I enjoyed as being part of my schedule, as being part of the coursework I'm doing as a student. And it's something that I think I've learned a lot about. I think every teaching professional at some point should have to take something where they learn a course like this. And I know that they have like workshops available and things like that, but I know that also not everybody has the same amount of learning about teaching. And I found that this is the program that's going to equip you with the tools and the skills you need to be the most engaging, effective, and really supportive instructor to students. I think another thing logistically I would mention is the coursework is primarily online. And I found this to be really beneficial with my packed schedule. It is something to be mindful of, though, just for students to be aware of. But I found it to be very helpful. Yeah,
that's a good point. I absolutely understand, especially working professionals. It can be very desirable to be learning in an online format so you don't have to commute to campus and extend your day even longer than that. So that's a really good point. Thank you for bringing that up.
Yeah.
So I want to thank you so much for being with us today, sharing your insights about the program. It's been wonderful to hear your journey so far. And really, we wish you great success as you move forward in your PhD program and you finish out these courses in the certificate program.
Yeah, thanks so much for your time and for inviting me today.
Thanks for listening to this episode. I hope you enjoyed it. If you'd like to learn more about our offerings, do a search for UMBC College Teaching and Learning Science Graduate Certificate Program, or simply click the link in the description.